networking training. Take us back to the early days, how it came about.
I don't know whether you believe in fate, Andrew, but I do. 2 years before I left accountancy, for a hobby, I started to train as a trainer with the Dale Carnegie organisation. And I was really, really enjoying it, never thinking I was going to leave accountancy. And then I joined something called BNI, which of course is BNI, Business Network International. Didn't even know what networking was. I'd always done it, but never called it networking. Nobody did in those days. And I got an opportunity to do a 10-minute presentation to one of the group I was in. And in the group was a guy called Robert, who was a bank manager for one of the big banks. And he heard my 10-minute presentation, and he got me in front of, would you believe it, the head of training of this massive bank, who said, we like this stuff. And I called it in those days 10 habits of highly successful bankers. They said, no, Will, we want to call it networking. So this bank set me off. I was still doing accountancy at the time, but I was just on the cusp, and they gave me a big contract, which gave me the confidence to leave accountancy and do what I'm doing. So it just happened.
Now, the word networking is quite interesting, isn't it? Because it tends to conjure up certain responses or reactions when it's mentioned by people. They either love it or some of them hate it. What does it actually mean, in your opinion?
I think you've hit the nail on the head. Most people see negative in it, and yet I believe that every single person on this earth, and we're now told there are 7 billion of us.
I think you know most of those on LinkedIn now.
Not quite, but we're on the way. We're on the way. I believe that everybody networks from the age of 2 years old. Networking is simply building relationships. That's all it is. And every relationship we've ever built in our lives has got 3 key steps. The first step is getting to know somebody. The second step, which for me is the most important word of all in my presentations, in my training, as I'm talking to my audience now, and the word is like. Do people like you? Can you get on with people? Is there some rapport? Because I believe, Andrew, if you don't get on with somebody early on in a relationship, they don't want to do business with you. They don't want to see you. They want to cross the street if they see you coming, and vice versa with the person that you don't like. So there is knowing, liking, and then to build a long-term meaningful relationship with anybody, there has to be trust.
Now, you've picked up on the like element of that 3-stage process, and I totally agree. What are the things that people get wrong, in your opinion, in that stage? Why do they fail to be liked by the audience they're trying to connect with?
I think when it comes to business events, they commit the number one heinous crime. They mix up networking, i.e. building relationships, with trying to sell. With trying to sell their product, their service, or their company. And of course, I say, for goodness sake, just sell yourself. And the way to do that is to spend far more time asking questions and being interested, rather than telling people what you do and supposedly pretending to be interesting. So I refer back to my mentor, the man who got me started on all this, Dale Carnegie, his beautiful quote, "Let the other person do most of the talking, be a good listener, and encourage others to talk about themselves." And if you do that, you can't fail to be liked. Because we all know, Andrew, people love talking about themselves. Good networkers let them.
I can understand why people who run their own business might have a desire to sell when they go and network, because it's their own money, it's their own livelihood, they need to generate sales. But I'm interested in people who go out as business development managers. Are they put under pressure by people to generate results in terms of bringing so many business cards? How many people have you met? So in other words, is it the fault of the people giving them the instruction?
There's absolutely no doubt that it is the fault. I know that young lawyers and accountants and professional people are saying, right, go to a networking event and make sure you come back with a new client or a new opportunity. It doesn't work like that. It just doesn't work
because
like
it
that.
leads to short-term thinking.
Correct. There's no
quick wins.
There's no quick win unless you're really, really lucky and you happen to meet somebody who is in need of your product or service on that day. It ain't going to happen. Going to business events, i.e. the networking, is the platform for creating the opportunity to do business tomorrow, next week, next month. And if you're really after the big business, it can be next year and the year after.
How do you help people who have a fear of networking?
Okay. Most people have a fear of networking. I hate walking into a room full of strangers. I never
You told me
do
that
it.
before the interview.
And I mean it. I absolutely hate walking into a room full of strangers. So how do I avoid it, Andrew? I always get there early. I plan my day. If the event starts at 8 o'clock in the morning, I'm there at 10 to 8. If the event starts at 6 o'clock at night, I'm there at 10 to 6. And that way, I'm in command and control of the room. And what is our biggest fear? Fear of rejection. Now, fear, actually it's an acronym, FEAR. What does it stand for? False expectations appearing real. Because when we talk about rejection, if you're nice to people and you walk in that room and you smile and you're pleasant and you ask them questions, you are never ever going to get rejected. It's as simple as that. Most people are nice. Most people are courteous. Most people are polite. They want to meet you like you want to meet them. Now, let's get this right. There's a small percentage of what I call RIPs, rude, ignorant pigs. People who meet you who realise within seconds that you're not very important.
Yes.
And what do? They start looking over your shoulder. And what we do in our presenting and training, we show you how to dump them. We realise from their body language that they don't want to talk to you anymore, so you politely excuse yourself and move on. And that's what people's biggest fear is. Or even walking up to a group, the worst fear of all, Andrew. Walking up to a group of 3 people, looking at them, say, "Oh, hi everyone, can I introduce myself?" And they ignore you. That is the worst moment.
Yes.
Even Will Kintish wants a hole in the floor to open up and suck me through.
Now, what about that first moment? Because I guess it's like chatting up a member of the opposite sex. If you can remember that long ago, Will.
Don't be silly. I can't, but try me.
It's getting started in a conversation, which is quite difficult.
Breaking the ice. Simple one, Andrew. You walk in the room, you get yourself a drink. The best person to talk to is the wallflower, or somebody called it this week the wall hugger. I love that one, the wall hugger. Billy no mate, or if it's a woman, Betty no mate. Go up to her or him slowly. Nice smile, good eye contact, and it's simply, "Oh, hi there. May I introduce myself? Or please, may I join you?" They always say yes. You swap names. And most people don't remember the name, not because they've forgotten it, because they're not listening. So listen for their name. "Hi, my name's Will. You are Andrew." "Hi, Andrew." Repeat their name and concentrate. And then the icebreaker. "So where have you come from?" Or "What's your involvement with this charity?" Or "How do you know our hosts?" Or if you go to a wedding, "How do you know the bride or groom?" It's as simple as that. What have you and this stranger got in common at that event on that day? And that's your icebreaker, something you have in common.
I find this process of building rapport is much easier when you find that common aspect. And a lot of it, I think, comes from asking questions and peeling the layers away a little bit, because a lot of people tend to have a pitch that they go in, they're desperate to deliver it, and you never know who they are. It's very superficial. But when you sort of get off the business stuff, you begin to know who they are as a person.
We always say this: the key to relationship building is not the business talk early on, but the small talk. You're absolutely right. If you are interested in the same sport, or even interested in supporting the same team, or you've both got family, or you both go skiing, or you both go to the gym, immediately you've found something in common and off you go. It's dead easy. The what do you do bit and how do you make your money bit questions can come a bit later. And it's true, 80% of the conversations I have at business events is not business. That comes later. I've been on LinkedIn for 7 years now. I was a pioneer. I am member number, and everybody can find out what member number they are by looking at their profile. I am number, and this is sad, Andrew, because I can remember it, 306,674. Now, that's not bad, bearing in mind there are now 137 million people on LinkedIn.
You were an early adopter.
I was an early adopter. I joined it in 2004, did nothing with it for 5 years. I thought it was a load of rubbish. How can you build relationships online? I said, you can't. And then one day I had a look at it and I thought, hang on a minute, you can't build relationships online, but you can start the relationship online. And then as long as you meet the people, go back to our quaint and old-fashioned hello, nice to meet you, what you do, then that is absolutely fine.
So it needs to be used in tandem with face-to-face.
Totally
Yes.
in tandem. If you're going to build a relationship properly, to get to know and like people, you have, as a minimum, you have to be Skyping so you can at least see them. But
and you come across people, as I do, I'm sure, who kind of hide behind social media, or they get sucked into the web world and end up, face-to-face networking less and less. That must be a problem you come across.
It scares me to death. I look at my grandchildren who spend their lives, who are aged 6 and 4, who are spending their lives on the iPad and the iPhone. And when little Amy says to me, Grandpa, I can't download this app. I mean, what sort of language is that? And so I think there's going to be a backlash. I think one day the whole thing's going to implode to a point and people are going to realise that the only way of relationship building is the face-to-face.
If we finish off, Will, I haven't asked you this question yet, and it may catch you off guard, but what's the funniest thing you've come across in all of your years involved in networking and training?
One of the funniest things was that I got to an event in Leeds a few months ago, and I was getting ready to speak. This guy comes up to me. He says, hello, my name's John. Let me tell you all about me. He said, we are the best printers in Leeds. And he starts getting his brochures out and showing me all this stuff. And I wasn't impolite and I listened. And this has happened a few times because people perceive me as knowing everybody, and I do know a lot of people. They think I can be a great influence in their life, so they commit the cardinal sin of, hello, you don't need to know who I am, but give me a check, please.
Well, Will Kintish, thank you very much for sharing your wisdom on MojoLife TV, and long may it continue, all your work you do in networking and LinkedIn. Thank you very much.
Thanks for the opportunity, Andrew. Thank you.